You can get involved in vote for the final race, weather and track, 4 to choose from. That's exciting when you look at the possibility of where we could go. But in terms of the challenges tonight, they are very competitive, gentlemen.
You could see that, couldn't you?
Yeah.
I love how they also get their excuses in early. We heard that with George Russell as well a couple of weeks ago when he was saying that he'd been practicing on the wrong type of car, the 1982 Williams. Now we've got Nico getting his excuse in early, saying his sim only arrived last night. Come on, lads.
I know, indeed. Well, listen, this is the leaderboard for anyone who's not familiar with the challenges that have been going on recently. Lando Norris currently on the top with 5 points. And then we had a whole challenge night with the Williams drivers, Nicholas Latifi and George Russell. We went to Spa in the wet. That was voted for by the fans, and that proved to be absolute carnage for those two drivers. But you'd expect people watching to want to have those tracks that they're really going to have the best driving ability.
Well, we've got some incredible driver ability tonight. That goes without saying. When it comes to choosing where we go racing, the list is fabulous. I just wonder who and where we'll end up. I mean, there are some great tracks on offer this evening.
There are indeed. So let's have a look at where we could be racing in the final challenge. We will have the option of Canada in the wet, Singapore, dynamic, Italy in the wet, and US of A in the dry. Now, out of that, Rosanna, obviously you're no stranger to these circuits. Out of those, which is your particular favourite? And then answer the question of where we should be driving and in what conditions.
Oh, this is so scintillating. My favourite there, Italy's fabulous to watch the F1 cars go round, and Monza in the wet. I mean, that would be sensational. Of course, then we've also got Canada in the wet. People who have followed Formula 1 for a long time will remember Jenson Button racing there in the wet, going from the back to the front to take the win. Do we want to see scenes like that? And equally, Singapore, super tight. You have got no room for error there, and that's a dynamic track, so that could get exciting. If it rains in Singapore, it's a downpour.
I'm going to have to push you. Rosanna, I'm going to have to push you. Go on.
OK, I'm going to say Italy in the wet, please.
OK. Now, obviously, we are impartial, so you make your own decision of how you can get involved with that. But please, let us know where you want to have the last challenge to race on tonight. Very exciting stuff. However, listen, we couldn't have the Challenge Heineken Legends without getting an icon of F1 to take part. I'll say no more. We'll just get straight to it. I'd like to introduce you to the Taskmaster tonight.
Thank you very much, Tom, and hello to all of you at home. My name's Jackie Stewart, and I'm at home as well. So in these troubled times, it's really nice to see a top motorsporting event coming back into the calendar. Tonight, we're going to see the challenge of the Heineken Legends event, and 2 of the very best drivers in the world are going to be competing with 2 also very top sportsmen. So you're going to have a good night of television in this form. The first one is going to be between Nico and David, and it's going to be at Interlagos, a great circuit. I've raced there too and didn't win. So one of them are going to win tonight and win 2 points for that. There's going to be other participants, as I've just mentioned. But in the meantime, why don't we get really back to business and have Tom explain it more fully?
So there you go, Sir Jackie Stewart, the Taskmaster tonight. Fantastic icon in F1. What do you remember of Jackie, like interviewing him and meeting him?
Oh, well, I have had the privilege of interviewing him. He is obviously an absolute gentleman, was a wonderful racer. I've seen him drive on modern-day tracks now in his old cars, and to have a Knight of the Realm as our Taskmaster tonight. I mean, you just couldn't make this challenge up, could you? How fabulous. I
like that. I just love this moment at the moment we get to see people's sort of worlds, their house and the setup. I just love Jackie's setup. But obviously, I don't like the fact that he didn't win it in Interlagos. I felt like we forced that upon him to mention that.
Well, very modest of him to say that, but it shows that this track is tricky to get right. So the guys have got their work cut out tonight. If Sir Jackie Stewart can't win at Interlagos, I'm wondering who can. OK, well, listen, before we explain more about the challenges, let's welcome another legend to you guys watching right now. And this is very exciting. He won the World Cup back in 2002 with Brazil. He's won 3 Champions League, and I would say he's one of the greatest left-backs to have ever graced the game of football. It's the one and only Mr. Roberto Carlos.
Fala, pessoal, aqui quem fala é Roberto Carlos. Eu estou muito feliz em participar do evento Challenge Heineken Legends. Tenho treinado muito aqui em casa e estou pronto para enfrentar o David Coulthard, Nico Rosberg e Roberto Doornbos. Ouvi rumores de que vamos dirigir em Interlagos hoje, então eu vou estar em casa. Estou orgulhoso e vou fazer com que os brasileiros se sintam orgulhosos de mim também. Eu sempre fui um dos mais rápidos no campo. Espero ser na pista também. Boa sorte a todos os participantes e para quem está assistindo em casa. Divirtam-se. Grande abraço.
Unbelievable, Roberto Carlos. As a football fan myself, the fact that Roberto Carlos is taking time out to get involved with this tonight, one of the fastest on the pitch. He was incredible, Rosanna. Left back, zipping past, crosses in. The free kicks, that one against France, unbelievable.
It's fabulous. As he said, fastest on the pitch. Will he be fastest on the track tonight? But as you say, a legend from football joining us for this amazing evening.
Yeah, indeed. Now, there's one final legend to introduce to you guys, and that is, of course, it was actually Roberto gave it away a little bit, actually. I didn't want to mention it. But yes, we will be welcoming former F1 driver, one of the nicest men in motorsport. It is, of course, Robert Doornbos. Robert, we see you in your setup. Incredible scenes. You look very relaxed. Are you relaxed about this challenge tonight?
I am very relaxed. Thank you for having me and looking forward to spending time on track with these legends.
Indeed. And what is the setup I'm going on? There's a couple of trophies there in the background, a few helmets as well.
Yeah, I showed this picture to David, and he asked me where did I buy the trophies. So, thank you for that one, David. But I have my Dutch clocks with me. I'm not driving with them. Yeah, so I feel comfortable. This is my sort of man cave in the house.
It's been a while since you've raced, Robert. Have you been doing a lot of sim practice over the last few years?
Yeah, I did a lot of sim work, so Nico should be very worried. And I'm one of the fastest simmers in the Netherlands.
Ooh. Like that.
Yeah. Now, Robert, I have to ask, you were doing some promotion work for your home Grand Prix in a circuit, the Grand Prix in Zandvoort. That sadly, obviously hasn't happened yet. We've got some footage of you, though. We'll just take a look at this now, actually.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate. I mean, due to Max Verstappen's success in the Netherlands, it exploded the Formula One hype. So we're all very much looking forward to it. And I think David and Nico can confirm that Zandvoort is a beautiful track to race on. And they've done a great job with the banked corners and everything. So it will happen. We just have to wait a little bit longer. And we did a small promo tour through the Netherlands. I was cycling and I overtook some Red Bull F1 cars, so I was probably the best overtake of the year so far.
we just watched that, actually. It was a very cordial hello to as you waved past
Very
them.
smooth, huh? Give me 4 wheels, please. It's better.
Yeah.
All right, well, listen, we look forward to catching up with you in a bit. Best of luck for tonight there, Robert. So there you go. Those are all the legends that are taking part tonight, Rosanna. Let's get to the first challenge then. I'm so excited about this. It's a 1v1 battle format. It's basically who's the fastest as they get round the lap. Best of 3. Simple as that.
I cannot wait to see this. Yes, DC taking on Roberto Carlos, Nico Rosberg taking on Robert Doornbos, and then obviously we'll move on to the winners' final and losers' final as well. And 2 amazing tracks as well, Tom. I can't wait. Interlagos and then the Red Bull Ring.
Yeah, and in terms of tactics for this one, this is just put your foot down, go as fast as you possibly can.
Yeah, you've pretty much got it. Yeah,
okay.
Exactly. I think we should enter you into this, Tom.
OK, fair enough. Also, we have to have a word with him right now. We've been laughing and having a little bit of a chat with him. He's miles over that way, actually, in the commentary area. It's, of course, Alex Jakes. Alex, are you looking forward to tonight's challenge?
I can't wait for tonight's challenge. It is going to be... what fantastic matchups we've got. Lots of racing talent here and a World Cup winner. Great names. It should be great racing.
Yeah, and now in terms of the legends that we've got, David Coulthard, Nico Rosberg, in terms of their ability, who stands out for you tonight?
Well, they're very evenly matched. The question is, how quickly are they going to adapt to the sim? You saw a little bit of nerves from Nico Rosberg, I detected there. He was getting his excuses in nice and early. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out in a few moments' time.
Now, I said to Rosanna, it's literally put your foot down and go as fast as possible. There isn't any other tactics that go into this 1v1, is there?
No, you can't mess around. Only 3 laps. You've got to get on with it. That first corner is going to be very, very important. You can't afford any contact. You've basically got to take it to the final lap and hope that you've got a shot on that long straight to the finish line.
Okay, well, listen, Alex, great to have you on board. Sadly, no Matt Gallagher by your side tonight, but you look perfect on that desk. That desk was built specially for you.
It's all mine.
Listen, David Coulthard taking on Roberto Carlos at Interlagos. It's over to you, Alex.
Thank you very much indeed. So, great matchups. The format then, first to two, who can get a win in these 3-lap races as we wait for the races to begin, and we'll see whether the nerves for everyone, I think it's fair to say, feeling very, very nervous indeed about this one. Coulthard going up against Robert Doornbos, and then here we go with the lights then. We've got David Coulthard, and here we go. Coulthard versus Roberto Carlos, and it's Roberto Carlos into the lead in the McLaren, and Roberto Carlos has the lead. So Coulthard just has to keep cool, has to keep calm, and has to stay with him. Roberto Carlos, though, said he'd been practicing. He wasn't joking, was he? At his home track, he is sprinting clear. So that is, well, it's right now Roberto Carlos is to lose. Is Coulthard going to take any risks? Is he going to be able to come back? David Coulthard has won around this circuit in real life. Back in 2001, in the wet, did he beat anyone? No, he beat Michael Schumacher back in 2001. Now, though, he's trying to hunt down the McLaren. Carlos getting wide. Coulthard resorting to a little bit of bumper cars there, but he didn't hit him in the right place, my friend. So, Carlos weaving around. Coulthard's going to have a chance. He's going to have a chance. Remember, 3 laps. You don't want to take the risks too early, but certainly in terms of applying the throttle, it's going very nicely indeed for Roberto Carlos, who has a sizable lead right now, but Coulthard's still there as they begin their second lap. Easy conditions. Remember, you can vote for which race track we finish today's challenge on. You make sure it's not nice and dry. So Roberto Carlos leads. His gap is up over a second. Coulthard might need. So he goes over the line. And so one in the bed. And then, so Coulthard needs to get on terms. Can he get on terms here? This is really important. Coulthard really beginning to push now. So Carlos went over the line there, and that was the very first lap. So single lap shootout, and that is 1 to Roberto Carlos, and he has 1 on the board past David Coulthard, and he's notched 1 on the board to try and get through to the final. The final will be in Austria at the Red Bull Ring, and right now Roberto Carlos has done the job. So they were close to contact in the middle sector of the lap there, but Coulthard will have the advantage for the next battle. So 3-lap race, but it was a single lap shootout. You can only do 3 laps in the game. So that's why Coulthard wasn't able to attack on lap number 2. So we'll get ready for the second race. And remember, Coulthard's got to win this one. He has the advantage of starting on pole, but he's got to stay ahead of the World Cup winner, the part of an amazing Real Madrid team, Roberto Carlos, and World Cup winner back in 2002. When it was the final was hosted in Japan. So Coulthard needs a response. The 13-time Grand Prix winner, is he going to be able to come back? Is he going to be able to match Roberto Carlos? Bit of a weird sentence, but I was very impressed there. I mean, what a feeling for Roberto Carlos. All the things he has won, and yet he was ahead of a 13-time Grand Prix winner. Guys, what did you make of that first contest?
Well, I'll be honest with you, I was surprised. I was expecting David to, or DC as I'm allowed to call him now, would just get into the lead somehow. But Roberto proving he's obviously put some time in the sim. I
think the home advantage playing into his favour there. That was a really good start for Roberto Carlos. I think DC's going to have to dig deep for this second round. I'm not sure. I don't know. I thought DC would be stronger.
Yeah, in terms of what you just expect him to have sort of led, particularly, and then Roberto having to do all the catching up. But this isn't boding well for the rest of the evening for David. And I imagine, as you've obviously seen many times with David, he will be now getting in the zone. If he wasn't before, he will now have to get into the zone.
He has to. If he doesn't, he's not going to win this challenge. Frankly, it's as simple as that.
Yeah, we didn't expect it. So once again, this is the semi-final, David Coulthard versus Roberto Carlos. Then the semi-final 2, we'll have Nico Rosberg versus Robert Doornbos. That's not it. Like, once the challenge is is over. We don't say goodbye to the guys. We'll have a losers semi-final going into the losers final, and then we'll have a winners final as well. And that's going to be taking place in Austria. In terms of the track difference there, they've got to quickly forget about Interlagos and get straight into the next track.
They will, but still a very short circuit. The Austrian track, the Red Bull Ring, very similar to the Brazil track, a short one on the calendar. And again, they're going to have to get going pretty quickly to make their mark. But I just think Roberto Carlos seemed so cheery, didn't he, in his message to us? I think this is, I'm looking at potentially Roberto Carlos to win this one.
But, OK, fair enough. He did say at the end of it, a big hug. And I tell you what, a big hug is definitely what he is probably feeling at the moment, because he's got that first one under his belt. Alex, do you expect the same again, or do you expect David to make a bit of a better start?
I expect David to make that Red Bull incredibly wide as he goes down to the first turn. He's got to stay in it. He can take all the risks he likes here, so he's got to do anything to win this one.
Yeah, is there an opportunity, is there a particular area of the circuit where if you are behind and you maybe get off to a bad start, that you can really attack?
Well, Coulthard, of course, raced in the Michael Schumacher era, so maybe a chop at the start of the race, that might be a good option. I expect the elbows to come out
veer over?
here.
Is that what happened? A sort of Schumacher-esque veer over?
Yeah, veer over. Roberto can have a look at the pit wall. He can inspect that, and then maybe we get a decider.
Okay.
You know, David was a very clean racer, though, so I'm not sure he will resort to such skullduggery.
No, I did instead of research about David and really just going in to find some extra thing I could ask him about tonight. It's printing off a picture of him and Schumacher, seeing where he'd gone over the apex of a corner, which Schumacher had refused. He said, I didn't go over that corner. So that's the level of competitiveness from David.
Oh, yeah, and it was a tough era to racing. You had Mika Häkkinen, you had Michael Schumacher, he had teammates who were world champions. It was not easy, but now all he cares about, all this storied Grand Prix winner cares about, is winning this contest.
Well, if Roberto wins it, it's all over. Leave it in your capable hands, Alex.
Thank you very much indeed. So this is the big one then. Coulthard needs to stay in it. He needs to get to the end of a 4.6-kilometre lap of Interlagos ahead of Roberto Carlos. If he doesn't, Roberto Carlos advances to the final, which is also going to be held around a 4.6-kilometre lap at the Red Bull Ring. So we wait with the pressure all on DC. It will be the McLaren of Roberto Carlos up against the Red Bull of DC, and the winner will advance to the final and they would take on Rosberg and Doornbos. So that is the contest that lies before us. And, well, it's a tight technical middle part of the track, but you are vulnerable if you're not outside the region of the fast straight. 5 lights on. Coulthard needs to win it. Coulthard on the left, Carlos on the right. And we're underway. Here we go then. For the Red Bull driver who leads away. Needed a good start. This is not what he needs. Roberto Carlos powering into the lead. And it could all have gone wrong in the opening few meters. Wow, Roberto Carlos getting the start he needed. Coulthard not happy with that at all. And, well, is he going to try a lunge here? Is he going to try some different tactics? Closing in under braking. Maybe it's not all over. Coulthard senses the opportunity. Can he get back to the front? Up the hill they go. He's still not close enough at the moment. He's really risking it there, closing all the time. Is Coulthard going to be able to take it to a decider? Oh, the elbows have come out as predicted. Here we go. He's trying to go all the way around the outside. What a super recovery this has been. Coulthard showing his class, and he's just got to get it right in the final couple of corners. So, dominant result last time for Roberto Carlos, but Carlos is dropping back all the time now. He's miles back. So we're heading to a decider. This single lap shootout has been decided in favour of David Coulthard. That makes it 1-1, and we'll need a decider to find out who advances to Austria. Coulthard across the line to level it up. And after a difficult getaway, Coulthard came back. And that was a big response. He needed that sort of performance. He got it, and we will have a decider as a result. Nicely done from Coulthard. Lost the lead at the start and then regained it with a super sector one. And Roberto Carlos dropping back an awful long way there. Finished nearly 2 seconds adrift over 1 lap. So Coulthard up and running in this contest. He has made it 1-1. And guys, it's going to a decider.
Is indeed. This is perfect. This is exactly what we wanted for the Challenge Heineken Legends. You were noticing David in his rig, DC. What did you notice about him?
He was chattering away, wasn't he? I don't know what he was telling himself or asking himself to do, but whatever he said worked because he managed to pull it out of the bag. But yeah, we'll have to ask him what was going through his mind in those first parts of the lap, because he did let him get away, didn't he? Roberto Carlos had an absolutely brilliant start and DC was on pole. So I thought Carlos was going to come good there, but it was Coulthard who took the win on that second go.
Yeah, what I did like about it, Alex, I don't know if you know, Coulthard didn't give up. Now, obviously in football, Roberto Carlos is used to, sometimes those balls are unwinnable. Just let him go. Just wait. You can't do that in motorsport. You have to attack. That's exactly what Coulthard did there, Rosanna. And that's the competitive edge coming out. But also, just he seemed to be smiling as well as muttering to himself.
You're right. There was definite smiles. I think he's enjoying it as well, which is great. We want these legends to enjoy evenings like this. But as Alex said, he got his elbows out, got that move done, and then managed to draw out that lead. As Alex said, nearly 2 seconds separating them as he crossed the line. I'm excited for this third round, though, because we know we've seen Oh, we're just hearing that they've refused to stop.
Yes, that is in our race at the moment. The reason is we can't get straight to the race because they're just going round. They want to just make the point.
Once you start, I love it. I love it. No, we've seen some amazing drag races to the line at this circuit at Interlagos, so who knows? We might see that in the third one if and when we get the guys to stop and reset.
Yeah, people will be watching this at the moment just thinking, hey, come on, let's get to the next race. Let's see this 1v1. But we can't stop them. Once they go, we cannot stop them. And I suppose they're enjoying it. But how does Roberto Carlos deal with that? I mean, I'm going to put you on the spot here. You've seen both of them race in the 1v1. What's that third one going to go to? And we don't know what's happening particularly in their race right now. They might be bumping into each other or all sorts.
They could be taking each other out right as we speak. If Roberto Carlos can get off the line like he did in both races, I think he's got a real chance. You almost have to forget both of the 2 rounds that have gone before. Clean sheet of paper. 1 lap, really. This is a single lap shootout now. Forget the results. We're 1-1, so it's essentially 0-0.
OK, is that the tactic you would take with this, Alex, obviously, to say, listen, hey, this is the decider, but I've got to forget about the first 2 races that we had?
I think it's really wonderful that you think they're considering tactics, considering they're not even sure when to stop. I think that's great.
Stop? I think
no, when they restart again and one of them goes over the line, they're clearly not going to be aware that they've won and progressed to Austria. So this is a magical mystery tour for you, for downstairs, for you guys, and for the drivers as well. Terrific.
Yeah, indeed. And obviously, if Nico, I mean, we know how competitive they were on their social media. They were back and forth with one another. They mentioned Brazil. Nico was very funnily said we're not going to be talking about that tonight. But interesting enough, they're competitive. They wanted to know how much practice the other had put into the sim. So Nico will be watching this thinking, I might have it. Or maybe he's thinking, David's actually better than I thought he was going to be.
I think there might be a little bit of that, yeah. Not expecting DC to do that in that second round. And Nico will be watching. As you said, these guys are competitive. Once a racing driver, always a racing driver. And I tell you what, no one really wants to compete in a loser's final. Imagine having to tell DC and Nico that. And that will be your job. That will be.
OK, I'm looking forward to that. Listen, don't forget, make sure you let us know where you want to race in the third and final challenge tonight. Canada in the wet, Italy in the wet, Singapore in the dynamic weather condition, and USA in the dry. It's all up for grabs, and make sure you get involved with that. Alex Yates, the third and final one. Has Roberto Carlos got it in the locker?
Well, we've managed to flag them down. We've managed to flag down the drivers. We're going to put them on the grid again, and then it's 1 lap. Has Roberto Carlos got it in the locker? Well, we're about to find out. There's not too long to wait. We'll get the lights in a few moments' time. We've got 3 of them, 4 of them, 5 of them. Roberto Carlos versus David Coulthard for the right to take on either Rosberg or Doornbos. And that's a much better start for Coulthard, who has grown in confidence with every single one of these races. We don't know who came out on top on laps 2 or 3, but we do know that Coulthard's got a big advantage now. He's got track position. He's just got a few corners to go before progressing. What can the former Real Madrid man do? Coulthard slightly wide there, and Carlos not using all of the racetrack, but he's within striking distance. You just got to stay there, Roberto, because the slipstream will be very powerful as they head to the line. That exit out of Juncal is going to be so important. Here we go then. It's going to be so important to see. Look at the concentration on the Brazilian footballer's face. He's right there with Coulthard. He needs a cracking exit. He's running out of corners, though. Desperation creeping in. Coulthard's going to get himself to the final if he can get this corner here right. And as a result, Roberto knew he had to try and take more speed through there. It hampered his exit, and across the line to progress to the Red Bull ring comes the Red Bull driver. David Coulthard will win the deciding one-lap shootout, and he has taken it across the line. David Coulthard will advance to the final after growing with every single race there. Coulthard beating Roberto Carlos 2-1, and it's Coulthard through to the final, guys.
Indeed. He better pack his bags, get ready for Austria, because that's where he's heading to for the winners' race next. But what did you make of that then, Rosanna?
Well, we'd seen great starts from Roberto Carlos in the first two. A little bit of wheel spin there on that third start, and he let David Coulthard get away with it. And of course, as you say, DC will progress to the final, to Austria, to that amazing track in Spielberg, the Red Bull Ring. I can't wait to see him take that one on.
Yeah, there was a moment we were seeing Roberto Carlos with his setup, and I thought, hang on a minute, you don't want to be holding them for that long on the turn. But it was just a bit of a freeze on the old internet connection. But I thought a valiant effort from Roberto Carlos, but
Fabulous.
The difference being maybe that experience is just showing there for David.
He had absolutely nothing to lose tonight, did he? I thought that was a fantastic effort from him, really enthusiastic. And let's see who comes out on top between Nico and Robert Doornbos. I wonder who will be facing DC in the final.
Yeah, well, listen, I mean, he's one of the nicest men in motorsport, Robert Doornbos, but I have to say, he can't be nice in this. It's just flat out go for it. However, Nico Rosberg, we know how competitive he is, but Robert, what can he bring? What do we know about Robert, apart from being the nicest man in motorsport?
Oh, well, we know he's got experience. We've heard from him that he's got some fast sim times under his belt. We know that he understands how these tracks work. He knows what it's going to take to be faster around somewhere like Interlagos. He's up against a Formula One world champion, though, and also, you know, it's a pressurised environment. But as we've seen, Roberto Carlos gave it everything. If you can get a good start, who knows, that could put Nico at a disadvantage this evening.
OK, so just to let you know, for the challenges tonight is, of course, the two legends mainly fighting out for it. It's David Coulthard and Nico Rosberg. 2 points for the winner overall of Challenge 1, and if you're the runner-up, you get 1 point. So, so far, we know Roberto Carlos is getting no points, and then we will find out who also will be getting no points in just a second. So, the challenge, 1v1 battles, best of 3. Alex is up there ready in the commentary, ready to get to it with Nico Rosberg and Robert Doornbos. I wonder if they'll still race around the track post when we need them to come back so we can watch them race again. We'll soon find out. Alex, what do you reckon for this one in terms of the pedigree of both of these drivers?
Well, different careers in Formula One. I don't think Robert Doornbos would mind me saying that at all. You've got a Formula One world champion against a very well-regarded chap. He's an analyst. He plays DC's role for Dutch TV, does Robert Doornbos. But now it's time to prove that in the sim world, at least, he can take it to a world champion.
Indeed, and also what I like and I want with these challenges, a bit of banter. David Coulthard has already given Robert a bit of banter already, saying that those trophies were bought. That was a tough blow, that one.
Dishing it out. That is punching down. What's the need for that?
So listen, David will be feeling very happy with that win. What did you notice from that third race, Alex? But as we go into the Nico Rosberg, Robert Doornbos.
I think you're seeing different speeds in the middle sector, and you've got to really make that final sector work if you're going to challenge. So if you lose the lead at the start, you've got to come back very, very quickly. So it's going to be interesting to see, can you wrap your head around it? Remember what we heard from Nico earlier on in terms of he's only had the rig, the sim set up for a few hours, so he's going to be getting quicker with every single lap. And Robert Doornbos, he looked chilled. He looked chilled. So throw what we know about their Formula One careers out of the window. You've got to get the job done right here and now. So it's the German driver Rosberg against the Dutch driver Robert Doornbos, who I hear is having a bit of an eventful practice.
Yeah.
Well, Tom, it's all going off tonight.
Alex, I'm hearing that as well. Some technical issues, as you'd imagine. He said he was a bit of an experienced sim racer, but having some issues at the moment. So just to let everybody know, Rosanna, once we've done Challenge 1, once that's in the can, we'll be heading to defending the crown. Very excited about that. We head to Abu Dhabi, and of course, that's where Nico Rosberg won the world title there in 2016. 2016. So that'll be exciting. And then challenge 3 is the influencer celeb media grid, 25% of a race. That one is going to be a lot of fun to watch because the likes of Matt Gallagher, who we know from F1 Esports Pro Series, is stepping
warming
up.
his seat.
Yeah, and he's only had his rig. He's a bit of an old hand at it, but he's just getting back into it. And you need to you need time. You can't just come into this thinking you're going to be as good as you are in real life.
No, absolutely. And I think that's what we're going to find with Nico Rosberg this evening. We've spoken about how his rig only arrived last night, so he's had a limited amount of time to get used to it. But don't forget, he's done a lot of sim practice in the actual F1 simulators, and also he'll have been watching DC's race then. He's no fool, he's a real intelligent guy, so he will have been watching, seeing where the lines are, seeing how to approach this when you're on a gaming rig. So don't expect Nico Rosberg to be caught napping this evening.
Okay, now just out of curiosity, because I think we just touched on it at the start of the show, obviously it's up for you guys to get involved, to let us know where we're going to have challenge 3. It's going to be Canada in the wet, Italy in the wet, Singapore dynamic, USA dry. Now, you did mention out of those Grand Prix, but which one, I guess, is the most iconic for you in terms of going there and the atmosphere that we're sort of devoid at the moment in a studio without many people, but when we go there, that sort of energy that it brings?
Look, we're so spoilt to have fabulous fans all around the world, and people go to different countries, whether it's their home race or not, they'll travel away to watch. I mean, Canada, Singapore, Italy, USA, any of them. But for me, when you're thinking about atmosphere, it's got to be the Tifosi in Italy. Seeing the Ferraris win last year, Charles Leclerc winning in front of the Tifosi, that podium with the incredible red smoke, the huge flag unfurled on the start-finish straight. For me, that is the most incredible experience, incredibly atmospheric. The Italians do everything with such passion and panache, and it is just a wonderful thing to be a part of. So that, if we were judging it on atmosphere and fan experience, would be the one we'd all want to go to this evening, I think.
OK, now I have to, it's a sort of a confession while we wait for the race between Nico Rosberg
Goodness me.
and Robert Doornbos. When Drive to Survive was on and I was just catching up on certain things, when you entered the stage, I don't know if you watched it, you were coming, I was cheering. I dropped the things that I was
Charles
eating,
Leclerc.
just getting into it. Listen, Alex, I'll tell more about that embarrassing story in a bit, but Alex, it's all over to you.
There are 5 lights on, they've gone out, and we are racing between Doornbos and Rosberg, and Robert Doornbos trying the chop. Rosberg knew it was coming, though, and he gives a bit back as well. I was expecting more of that. Oh, it's going to be one of these! Oh, Robert Doornbos sent it. He tried to take out Rosberg, and he has lost the first challenge before it has even always begun here. What a nightmare. Doornbos lost the lead, tried to take Rosberg out, and Rosberg, who is no stranger to a first lap collision, can now just revel in this. He's going to go 1 up as he circles round the middle sector of the lap, and he will bring his Mercedes home comfortably ahead. Robert Doornbos, look at the concentration. He knows he's already won. There's nothing he can do here. He's got a 9.5-second lead. He's about to go 1 up. Is Nico Rosberg competitive? Well, have a look at the bottom of your screen. He knows he's already gone ahead, but he's going to bring it home. So about to go 1 up out of Juncal corner, around the final turns on the lap and across the line. So we knew someone was going to go aggressive and try to be dirty. It's turned to be Robert Doornbos who's tried the dirty tactics. They didn't work. Rosberg goes 1 up in the first to 2 contest. Well, that was nice and dramatic. It was all a bit polite between Roberto Carlos and David Coulthard, and that went straight out of the window.
Yeah, I did ask, you know, what could be the tactics. If you come off of the track, try and just dive bomb at your opponent. That seemed to be the way Robert was going. Nicest man in motorsport, where you can rip up that statement.
Absolutely.
What did you take from that, Rosanna, watching that?
Well, I think we're going to have to replace some garden furniture. He was all over the show, wasn't he, off the track there? Look, as we saw, so focused, Nico Rosberg got the job done and still so dialed in right to the end. He could have taken it right down, but always learning. That's what I was talking about earlier. No opportunity goes wasted or goes unused by a world champion like Nico Rosberg, using all the track time available to analyse.
I don't know if you've been noticing from the sim world, watching these F1 drivers like George Russell, Charles Leclerc, Alex Albon, just getting to see, I know it sounds bizarre, but with the helmet on, you can't see what pensive reactions they're making with their faces. there, just ice cold, just concentration. But sometimes the emotions we miss when they've got the helmet on, but you get to see it there.
It's so lovely, isn't it? With no helmet, and I was talking to Esteban Gutierrez about this the other day. He says with no helmet on, you get to see the facial expressions. You can even talk to them, obviously not during this challenge, but it's an amazing access that we've got.
OK, well, Alex, I always love looking at your face while you're commentating. It's beautiful. Animated, as always. You had to hold back a chuckle.
Each to their own, Tom. Each to their own, all right?
You had to hold back a chuckle there. Do you reckon there's going to be some more dive bombing in this second race?
Well, he's got to, hasn't he? Well, if you're trying those tactics to start, he's going to have to get on with it very, very quickly because he needs to win this one. So it's key. It is key. Here we go. 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights. You know what happens. Next, they go out, and it's a key one for Robert Doornbos. He's got to win this one. He's immediately put the chop on Rosberg, but Rosberg's got the better start. And are we going to see contact again? So Doornbos keeps it on the tarmac for the moment. Not much between them, but it's Rosberg with the lead. He would be going through as things stand. Now, are we going to see dirty tactics? We go on board. Now, he's close enough. He doesn't need to try anything wild. No, he's going to try it anyway. He's barged his way through. This is more like it. It's Robert Doornbos in the lead now. So he knew he had to win it, and Rosberg won't like that at all, but he can't get back through for the time being. On board with the AlphaTauri driver. Oh, Rosberg spun, trying to come to the inside. Nico Rosberg goes around, and the wheel banging is resolved in favour of that Dutchman. It's worked for him. I didn't think he was going to try the move into turn 4. He risked it, and Rosberg comes off worse. We're about to go to 1-1. We're about to go to another decider. So up the hill goes Robert Doornbos. Look at that smile on his face. His tactics have worked a treat, and he is going to bring it over the line to force a decider. And still we wait then. 1-1 between Rosberg and Doornbos. Still we wait to find out who is going to take on David Coulthard. We're going to need a third race between Doornbos and Rosberg because the elbows came out. This time, the slightly dirty tactics worked.
They did indeed. 1 minute 17, fastest lap. Doornbos, well done. Dirty tactics. I don't know. I mean, listen, I'm so sorry I said he was the nicest man in motorsport. That needs to be scrapped immediately.
He's trying to change up his reputation, I think, this evening, changing his image. Look, I wouldn't be surprised if Nico is marching to the stewards right now for an investigation. But this is so great. This is what we wanted. We want them to go through these 3 laps. We don't want to finish early, so we're going to have a fantastic last lap shootout.
Yeah, how do you... I mean, you know Nico better than I do in terms of chatting to him. How will he feel about that in terms of...
Fuming. He'll be fuming.
He's going to be fuming, Alex. How does he respond?
I think he responds with some robust driver moves. I think that's what we can expect. He is going to... I think he's going to chop pretty hard off the start line if he gets a similar start for this deciding race.
OK, well, listen, Alex, this is the decider. Who will be meeting David Coulthard in Austria? It's time to find out.
Coulthard awaits in Austria. Sounds a bit ominous, that, doesn't it? But who's going to join him? We're about to find out. So it's been scrappy. It's been edgier than Coulthard versus Roberto Carlos. It's Doornbos versus Rosberg. Here we go. Winner stays on here. And Rosberg has the inside line, hangs his rival out to dry. Now, how far can he scamper clear? Because it was turn 4 where the dive bomb move worked last time. Are we going to see the same again? We don't have long to wait to find out. Will Doornbos send it? No, he can't send it this time. So he's going off the track, but he'll keep it flat to the floor, and now he is going to have to try and really risk it. Robert Doornbos knows that it's going to have to be a really risky move. It's going to have to be totally unfair if he gets past from here. So here we go. Is he going to try anything? Can he do it fairly? Can he find a way to eat up the ground? It's going to be tough. Not many corners to go. Rosberg in the right position right now. And there's nowhere really that you can cut from this point on, so I think it's Nico's to lose. One meaningful corner to go. That's nicely done from Robert Doornbos, but it's not going to be enough. Nico Rosberg is going to eat up the final few meters of the track. He will cut the beam first, go 2-1 up, and he will face David Coulthard around the Red Bull ring. It's Nico Rosberg celebrating again. He's won the challenge against Doornbos. Super stuff there. And well done to him. Well done to him, because he could have been rattled, but he was calm, he was cool, he was collected. He showed a champion's class, and it's DC versus Rosberg.
Yeah, punch in the air. That's the celebrations I want to see more of tonight, hopefully.
Well, look, Sir Jackie Stewart said these are the two of the very best drivers. We're now going to see them go head-to-head. This is fantastic stuff.
Oh, but come on, this is what we expected to happen.
I didn't. When I saw Roberto Carlos' starts, I was starting to worry.
All right, OK then. So we will have Roberto Carlos taking on that man you just saw, Robert Doornbos. That will be the losers final. And we will have David Coulthard versus Nico Rosberg. I think we're going to go to that one first. So winners final first. 2 points up for grabs. This is, when we talk about the challenge shows, this sets the precedent. You get some points early doors on the board. Otherwise, you can, not that the pressure's off you, but for the other driver, if they haven't got those points, they start to panic a little bit.
Yeah, we don't want any panicking. We want to see some great racing. And I think Nico and DC, look, they get on, they know each other. We've had some trials and tribulations on track between them. Are we going to see more of that around the Red Bull Ring?
Yeah, it could happen.
You mentioned 2008 in Interlagos. That was when Nico tapped DC. But DC's got history at Spielberg as well, running into his teammate, Mika Hakkinen, back in the day. So tonight, who's going to play dirty first? OK, who's going to play dirty first?
That's a question I thought we'd never ask. But there we go. Here's the thing. Now, with Austria, in terms of it's the same distance track, 4.6 kilometres. So, again, it's the same, you know, in terms of the turns, the corners that are going to be prevalent here, maybe for an overtake. What would you say is the area for this?
Well, we've got some interesting parts on this track. We've got actually an uphill section, and there's a high braking area there. That could be a place where we see an overtake. But I think we've seen that people find overtakes in all sorts of areas so far this evening. So anywhere will do when it comes to the challenges.
OK, and in terms of these two guys, you mentioned the history that they've got. This will be the first time that they go sort of wheel to wheel again, in terms of really just making their mark or sort of telling the other guy, you know, I've still got it.
Yeah, I think so, because unfortunately that incident in 2008 was DC's last race in Formula One. So it put him out of the race early doors. Nico put him out of the race, so to speak. So this is the first time we'll see them racing together again. I mean, couldn't be better, could it?
All right, OK, so winners final first then. David Coulthard, Nico Rosberg. Very much looking forward to this. Just to remind you guys, don't forget, you get to choose where we're going to be racing in the third and final challenge. That'll be a mixture of YouTubers, influencers that are taking it to the track, as well as our 4 legends tonight. But Canada in the wet, Italy in the wet, Singapore in dynamic, and USA in the dry. Great tracks to go to. This is going to be very exciting. Then challenge 2 will be defending the crown. Alex, who's your money on here?
Oh, I think it is going to be very, very close indeed. We saw DC really move up through the gears as the races progressed, and Rosberg was very, very solid. I think it's going to be even, but I think DC might win this first one.
All right, then. Well, listen, we are in Austria now in Spielberg, so let's get straight to the action. Alex.
Yeah, no third place playoff. Forget about that. We ran out of time. They can do that on their own time. We're going to the main event. 2 points in this challenge on the line right now. Who's going to get them? Who's going to get a bit of a bonus point but be slightly annoyed heading into challenge 2? Not long to wait to find out. Around a very, very quick circuit, same length as Brazil, as these two resume in a way that Coulthard wasn't able to in 2008. I think I remember DC had a helmet camera that day, and he was going to have his last race to show, but unfortunately got taken out at turn 1. Will the same thing happen again? Let's find out. The 5 lights are out, and it's Coulthard who is on pole position for this one, but Rosberg has the inside line. Is he going to send it into turn 1? They've collided immediately! They've collided immediately! Round goes Rosberg for the 2nd time today. No one mentioned what happened at this circuit in a Mercedes a couple of years ago. Coulthard, who back in 1999 hit his teammate at this corner, has hit his only rival in the race at turn 1 today. Look at how much he's loving life. Absolutely brilliant. He is on his way to take the advantage. Remember, 1st to 2, and so Coulthard has that advantage. Well, I thought it might happen at turn 1. I thought that might be where things were decided, and David's won this race back in 2001, I believe. The advantage here today, round the final few corners, decided a few corners back, and he's about to go 1 up. So we saw Coulthard racing nice and cleanly against Roberto Carlos, not so against Rosberg. Big smile on his face when he had the lead. There'll be an even bigger one now as he crosses the line to go 1 up between them. And Coulthard then deciding it at turn 1. And there you go. So all decided at turn 1, nothing that Rosberg could do for the remainder of the lap. And now the pressure is all on him to get on terms. Otherwise, it's going to be DC who takes those 2 points.
He had the inside line, but savagery there from Coulthard just took him out. I thoroughly enjoyed that, I have to say. That was brilliant viewing.
The temperature has just risen, hasn't it? I think they suddenly realise what's at stake here. That was fabulous, but yeah, Nico left hanging out to dry there early on.
What this leads to, and I think we'll all agree, bit of dirty driving there. There's not going to be a clean race here. This is you want to win it. How much do you want to win it? You're going to have to forget about real life racing. Just take the opponent out.
Well, I think Nico is going to come back even more aggressive now for round 2. I can't wait to see who comes out on top on this one.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see whether Rosberg resorts to the sort of tactics he's had to deal with. A couple of spins today. It is going to be... Well, I think we're going to see the same again at turn 1, to be honest.
Yeah, obviously with the wheel spins there, dents the confidence a little bit, but you saw on his face, and I think that's what I was loving most, how happy he was.
And it froze slightly, didn't it? So
yeah.
It was just pure glee across DC's face. But Alex, you mentioned, of course, a few years ago, the Mercedes coming together this track, so I'm sure Nico had that flash before his eyes at that point.
Yeah, not again. It's happened again, this time at turn 1. So he needs a clean one, and he needs to beat DC here, otherwise it is all over for challenge number 1.
Yeah, I'm hoping though, with the other 2 challenges coming up, they're gonna have to be a bit of cleaner driving. Now, obviously, sim fans out there will be like, listen, I want to see at least one clean bit of manoeuvring and racing. That might happen, but maybe not for the 1v1s.
Maybe this is special circumstances, and then as we progress through the evening, defending the crown in the final race, I think we'll be behaving much, much better.
Yeah.
You and me as well, probably.
Probably, yes, yeah. Looking forward to that as well. Yeah, I mean, obviously we saw there, if David Coulthard can get that second win, it's good night, and that's 2 points for him heading into defending the crown. And as I said before, that gives him a little bit of an edge going into the next 2 challenges.
Well, Alex spoke about how he's grown through the evening. I think he's just getting a bit more confident, a little bit of confidence growing here and there. So I think he's just going to keep getting better. But we know how competitive Nico Rosberg is. He is not going to want to have DC with the bragging rights on this when they go back into the F1 paddock later on this year. Absolutely no way.
Yeah, and now I've got to ask, Alex, with Abu Dhabi being defending the crown, in terms of, based on what happens in the results here, it will be a reverse grid to start there. In terms of the track, that first turn, could it be a bit of carnage for those guys? Is there a preference? You know, obviously being at the top of the grid, we know you want to do and be in pole position, but does it get a bit of carnage there?
It could easily happen. We've seen a fair bit of it already, haven't we? So you want to be as high up the grid as possible, and they're going to have to get on with it. You don't want to be 4th on that grid for that next challenge coming up, but we have not resolved this challenge yet. We still,
no, that's fair.
We still have to get on with this, Tom.
I know.
I've
got a script here. I've got the challenges in front of me. I feel like, you know, we're having to pause this one. I just wanted to get to the good stuff as well. But yes, obviously, you want to win this competition and get the 2 points for this challenge. But I was just thinking in terms of the strategy, you know, it's a reverse grid going there. But listen, enough of me talking. We can actually get to the race. Alex, we go there deciding factor, if David wins this, it's all over.
Right, here we go then. It's the decider, potentially. Rosberg has to win it, and we will find out if he can do so very, very shortly. And then we've got 2 more challenges coming on after this, but this is Coulthard versus Rosberg. In challenge number 1, the winner of this gets 2 points. The loser gets just the 1 point, and we will see who is going to come out on top. Rosberg's gone into a Ferrari. Everyone wants to join Ferrari these days, so no shock. Here we go. Rosberg has the lead into turn 1. He's switched teams, and it's worked for him really nicely, and Coulthard has to stay with him. It's a great track. There's so many different overtaking opportunities. They are also dive bomb opportunities. Let's see. This is officially turn 2. This is turn 3, and we're going to get more of the same. Coulthard goes through, and he was committed to that one. Rosberg, I think, knew it was coming and couldn't respond. Here's the great thing, though. Another opportunity. He's not happy. He's not thrilled. Is he going to send one? No, he's not going to send one. He's going to try and hang on to it. The rear end stepping out. And this is interesting. I thought Rosberg was going to come immediately back and dive to the inside there. He's not going to do it. Now, can he come back in these final corners then? It's difficult. Oh, he's close. He's so close to Coulthard. They're all high speed, though. You've got to have a risky move. Oh, he's going to get back through, heading to the Jochen curve. He's going to have the lead again. Coulthard's let it slip. Oh, contact between the two of them. Coulthard back in the lead. Rosberg off the road. And the 2 points are heading the Scots way. Coulthard goes 2-0 up, and he's taken the 2 points. A fantastic scrap that time. But it's David Coulthard who wins challenge number 1. And Rosberg, the team switch, couldn't help him out. I thought he was going to do it there at turn 9. He couldn't hold the lead. And Coulthard is the winner.
I mean, I don't know about that. Stewards, marshals, we need some discussions on that. What did you take from that, Rosanna? Because that was brilliant viewing.
I looked at the grid and I got all confused. I couldn't understand why we had a Ferrari on the starting grid. That took away my attention for a moment, and then just utter confusion continued, I think. That was... Yeah, I like looking at Nico's camera as well, seeing how he was dealing with what he was facing. I don't think he's going to be a happy bunny right now.
Yeah, however, there is that great saying, famously, revenge is a dish best served cold, though. It looked like, as Alex was talking about, the inside dive, could he have gone for it? He didn't, but then he took the lead, and then David just said, no, off you go again. It seemed a bit savage, to be honest with you, but it's causing David to be very happy, and, you know, you've got to enjoy joyful moments for him. He
looked like he was in his element, and I would assume 2 points is exactly what he was after in that challenge, and is exactly what he got.
Well, he'll be starting 4th in our next challenge because it is a reverse grid as we head to the defending the crown. I can't wait to chat to them because I feel like there's going to be a lot of laughter, David, definitely from David's point of view, but maybe not from Nico's. Out of those drivers, in terms of who's impressed you the most, maybe for their driving ability, not for wheel banging, out of the 4 guys tonight?
I think Roberto Carlos impressed me. I think perhaps because I wasn't expecting it, maybe. That was very stereotypical, but I thought potentially a footballer wasn't going to be coming up with the goods tonight, but he's done really well. And I think DC, a little bit naughty, making his car incredibly wide on track. Let's find out what will happen with the actual racing.
All right, well, listen, let's chat to the guys right now. Let's chat to the winner. A bit of dubious circumstances there, a bit of contact. David, did you see anything with the contact?
I forgot to open my eyes after the start. I couldn't see anything.
It seemed fitting, though, to get that 2 points. I mentioned that revenge is a dish best served cold. Nico's probably going to be biding his time here.
I've already done the whole bunch of racing.
How do you feel about the 2 points, David? Are you a little bit worried now?
Yeah, worried's probably a bit of an exaggeration, but... yeah, I'm a bit rusty, you know, this wheel-to-wheel action stuff. I can't really remember what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Nico Rosberg. Nico, please discuss the tactics of your competitor, David Coulthard. How did you find his racing?
Yeah, no, I'm sorry, I can't speak right now because I'm up at the Stewart's. and we're just reviewing the incident.
What did you take from the incident, Nico?
Yeah. So I'm gonna refrain from commenting. I think that's the best thing at the moment at this point in time.
Stewards are dressed funnily these days.
Yeah, I'll. Oh, Mickey, you're on the live global 100 million people.
If there are 100 million people, I'm really nervous.
There was 100 million people watching Mickey live.
Don't worry, Nico. I know that Charles Leclerc's girlfriend had to contact him on Twitch to let him get to the front door because he wasn't picking up his phone. So listen, no worries there. The stewards, as Rosanna said, are dressed differently these days. But listen, best of luck for your next challenge. We'll be defending the crown. Listen, we haven't said let's update this scoreboard. Let's go there. That was highly entertaining. That is what you're going to get. That is why I said it's a very exciting evening. Anything can happen here. It's the modern world, isn't it?
My cheeks are aching from laughing so much. That was just brilliant, the way that this person is coming in and anticipating the background. It's fabulous. All
right, let's have a look at the scoreboard so far after Challenge 1. As you can see there, a total of 2 points for David Coulthard, who apparently had his eyes closed throughout that race. And that's probably the face that Nico's pulling right now, just sort of biding his time for this next race. He's got 1 point there as the runner-up. Blimey, there you go. Listen, we've got the scores. Let's have a quick word with the main man himself. So, Jackie Stewart, where are we heading to next?
So it's time for our second challenge for the evening, and it's time for a bit of racecraft. In honour of Nico's winning the World Championship in 2016, and by the way, this was his last lap, we're heading to the Yas Marina circuit in Abu Dhabi. It's a 5-lap sprint race. The segment we've called Defending the Crown because of the World Championship. To keep things interesting, it's a reverse start challenge from the previous challenge. So if you'd finished last in the previous challenge, here's your chance to make up for it. So it's 3 points for first, 2 points for second, and 1 if you finish third.
Well, thank you very much. So, Jackie, brilliant challenge then we head to then. Defending the Crown, reverse grid. This is roughly a race about 10 minutes long and very exciting. Going to Abu Dhabi, the Yas Marina. Exciting grid. What are your favourite moments of this? And actually, particularly, the 2016 win for Nico.
Oh, well, that was a fabulous evening, of course, for Nico and his family and friends. It's an amazing place to go racing as well. It's very nostalgic, I think, when I think back to it, because it always makes me think of the end of the season, people saying farewell for another Formula One year, done and dusted. And, of course, in 2016, as you were mentioning, that was where the championship was sealed. It went right to the end for Nico Rosberg, obviously challenging Lewis Hamilton right to the end, but managing to come out on top.
Yeah, indeed. I'd love to actually let's look back at some of those amazing moments. This is actually, before we go there, let's have a chat with Nico. Nico, obviously, hopefully you're away from the stewards now. Just to double check with you, I want to know, defining moment, your career, 2016 world champion. What do you remember of that amazing night?
Oh, of course, it's the best memory of my whole career. And even thinking back now, it's just wonderful. The race was super intense, and afterwards it was just one big party, so it was so special.
Yeah,
dream come true.
Indeed, and congratulations again for that. Just looking at a couple of the pictures of those moments, I have to say one of my favourite moments, as we're seeing here, you just needed to finish in 3rd place to be crowned champion, but you pushed it to finish 2nd. What was that like?
Well, because the 4th place was like right behind me, because there was Vettel and Verstappen right behind me. So the risk was extremely high, because just one little mistake and I would have lost the championship. So it was an ultimate pressure moment. But yeah, it worked out, and it was just amazing moments, so emotional after such a long fight.
We're seeing some wonderful footage of you standing on your car on the start-finish straight after doing those donuts and celebrating with your team. Just moments that will live forever, I imagine. And do you go back and watch it? Do you have lovely photo albums?
Actually, I made this book with pictures from the whole season because one of my best friends followed me as a photographer, or a good friend. And so I have this lying here on the coffee table, and occasionally we'll just flick through and just get the memories coming through.
Yeah, why not? And we just saw the image there of Nappy. The champagne was flying everywhere. It looked like an incredible moment. So listen, you're going to head back there. How do you feel about this challenge? Do you think you've got what it takes to get those 3 points?
Well, I'll give it my very best. It's not going to be easy, especially if DC is around me, then it'll be very hard.
Indeed, he will be. Well, you'll be starting off in 3rd place. David, you've put glasses on, your shades on. Are you already celebrating?
No, it's just
gear.
And my
Top
eyes
Guns.
at night get really bad, so I think I might need to wear them for the Abu Dhabi's a night race, so I've got to get the glasses on.
Well, you're looking very cool, DC. We'll leave you guys to get ready. Rosanna, a brilliant moment, 2016. Nico's going to be heading back there. David's got his shades on. I feel like he's already celebrating, to be honest.
I don't think Nico Rosberg thought the next time he'd race around the Abu Dhabi circuit would be this evening at this incredible Challenge Heineken Legends. But here we go. Dreams come true, as he said, and this is a second dream, I'm sure.
OK, well, there you go then. Alex, we head then to Abu Dhabi. Are you ready for this one?
I'm not sure anyone's ready for what's coming next this evening. It has been intense so far. Nico taking the last result fairly well, but this is a different story, isn't it? 5 laps to prove your worth now.
Yeah, and in terms of you and your commentary, do you have a book of some of your favourite commentary moments that you flick back across?
No, I don't. But maybe I will. Maybe that's a lockdown task this week. The commentary highlights. No, I've not gone to that. I don't know. Like maybe a podcast of the very best of Davide Valsecchi shouting instead. Right to the race. 5 lights. Reverse grid, Doornbos, Carlos, Rosberg and Coulthard. And it's a good start for Rosberg, immediately up to second position. Will he cut alongside? He will. Roberto Carlos down to 4th place. Robert Doornbos from the reverse pole. Oh, Coulthard got into the side of Rosberg, but this time it's Coulthard who comes off worse. So there's a chance now for Rosberg to try and take the lead. Can he do it around the outside of Robert Doornbos? He's going to have a big opportunity in a few moments. Coulthard to the back after that spin, and now wasting no time at turn 7. Through goes the 2016 world champion Rosberg, going through. Doornbos will try and fight back. I don't think he's going to be able to if he's disappeared. So Rosberg, it's all going his way after losing out in Challenge 1. He can just keep it nice and clean and tidy and enjoy reminiscing. So I think Robert Doornbos is on the AI at the moment, so that could be a real headache, actually. As Robert Doornbos tries to rejoin us, as they go down to always a key overtaking opportunity at turn 11. So Roberto Carlos in 3rd, and Coulthard trying to make up ground, but he couldn't afford that incident on the first lap, and he's paid a very, very high price. But remember, Rosberg told us earlier on that he hasn't had that much time on the rig. It's easy to make a mistake here. Let's check in with Mr. Coulthard further back after that spin, and he's dished it out a few times earlier on this evening, and came off worse that time as they go under the hotel. And, well, he needs everyone ahead to make mistakes, and I'm not sure that we're going to get that. He's got a chance to hunt down Roberto Carlos. He started so brightly, winning the first head-to-head race around Interlagos, but since then, it's not quite gone to plan for the former left-back for Real Madrid. Rosberg has a 1.7-second advantage over Robert Doornbos and the AlphaTauri there, but Rosberg at the track where he won the title and then shocked the world by retiring. Well, he is getting back on terms. Remember, if you win this race, 3 points to count towards your challenge total. I'll put him on 4 for the evening as they try and get on terms of the Lando Norris total, which we saw at the start of the program. So no one near Rosberg at the moment. He's extending his lead to 2.3 seconds past the F2 pits down to turn 11. Always an amazing view here, and a raucous crowd in any other normal year. Now, Coulthard closing in on Roberto Carlos. Roberto enjoying Interlagos a lot more than he has enjoyed Yas Marina so far, the most expensive racetrack ever built. And we have these fantastic day-night races as the sun goes down. Coulthard has closed the gap to the footballer. And the Brazilian is going to have a really hard task on his hands now. Rosberg just has to keep it clean, keep it neat and tidy, something Roberto Carlos has not been able to do as they go under the hotel. And it's Roberto Carlos in the wall to allow Coulthard through. And that gets him 1 point from this challenge, if he can stay there. So we've seen plenty of incidents. And Rosberg just has to avoid that as we're on lap 3 now. Back to the race leader, looking very comfortable indeed. sprinting clear. A race that he has won before, of course, as well as the race where he scored second place. Incredibly tense season finale as Hamilton backed up Rosberg into the pack, brought Max Verstappen and Sebastian Vettel into play. They were very close together. Remember that one, looking out of the commentary box and seeing the 4 cars very, very close together indeed. But it's Rosberg who is leaping up through the gears now, heading to the heavy braking zone of turn 11. We go on board, down from 7th gear he goes. And in complete control of this one, just like we used to see when he was racing in the real thing. He is all clear at this stage. And standing on the brakes, taking it hugely seriously. Just throwing on the anchors as he went down underneath the hotel, close to the wall. Can't afford any moments like that, with the race victory very much within his grasp now. We're about to go on to the penultimate lap. What can he offer as he dips down the hill? You can see he's still absolutely pushing. Doesn't really need to do that with the 3.2 second lead, but I think he's getting into this. I think he's really enjoying being back behind the wheel. Wonder if we'll see him take part in a virtual Grand Prix. Is he getting the bug that we've all caught in terms of esports? And well, this is going very nicely for Rosberg. He is marching clear, and Coulthard can do nothing about Robert Doornbos in P2 there. And this is as easy and as calm as you like as we go further into the night, but it's not the conditions not affecting the 2016 world champion. Already seen him winning his home race earlier in the show. He also won Monaco 3 years in a row. It was a decade-long Formula One career and one that finished with the World Championship. He is on his way, but we've seen him close to the wall, so it's not over until you see the checkered flag. Coulthard in 3rd position, back with him. So that's going to be 1 point towards the challenge. But he can't really do anything. After that spin at the very start, we're on board now. It's neat and tidy and chilled and relaxed and everything it wasn't on that very first lap. Now we've got a yellow flag in Sector 2. Why have we got that yellow flag? Back with DC. Not with the success that he's had in the earlier session, and maybe an issue for Roberto Carlos, who checks out of this race, and Nico Rosberg is on his final lap. So Coulthard's about to start lap number 5. But it's Rosberg well on the way to victory and 3 points. Coulthard couldn't do anything. Risk the car. Sometimes it goes for you like Challenge 1, sometimes it goes against you like it has done in Challenge 2. But he will bring it home in 3rd place if he can avoid mistakes. But you can see how dominant Rosberg has been. Look at the advantage he's got here. And now bringing it into the final part of the lap. Still some tricky corners where it can go wrong, but he's running out of them. This has been dominant stuff from the start. Moved his way up. Remember, there was a reverse grid. He dealt with that perfectly. And he just has a few corners remaining. Bit of a lock-up. I love how hard he's been pushing, even with the race lead all the way through. Gaining confidence all the time with that rig. And now bringing it home. He can begin to relax. He is going to be up and running in terms of being successful with this challenge. And Nico Rosberg keeps it away from the Tech Pro, has 2 corners to go then. And it's going to be success at Yas Marina for Rosberg, something he's experienced before. This time it's to win the challenge. He takes Challenge 2. He has won the 5-lap sprint race by a commanding margin as well. Robert Doornbos in P2, and David Coulthard will take the final point for P3, but it's Rosberg who takes the lead of the challenge this evening after winning in dominant style. That was a masterclass, guys. He did perfectly there.
He did indeed. Beautiful scenes there. It didn't play out in David's favour there, crashing out very early on, and then it was just too much for him to catch up.
Well, we called it defending the crown. Nico Rosberg went out there and defended his crown tonight, didn't he?
He did indeed. Some people commenting already that David had the sunglasses on, celebrating after one win like he was Top Gun. However, it wasn't quite there, was it, for him on that one?
No, with that spin, obviously, he put himself at a massive disadvantage. He was lucky enough to gain back another position and therefore take a point, but it wasn't enough to dethrone our champion on that challenge, Nico Rosberg.
Yeah, indeed. We will chat to them now, actually. Nico, how does it feel to defend the crown?
Oh no, it feels whatever. It was a great race. It was fun to try and get some fast laps in. Pity that Robert went out because it would have been a nice battle with him. But apart from that, it was a nice memory. You know, driving around on this track is always great.
Indeed. And David, it wasn't the start you wanted, was it?
No. Well, I made it through the first corner, so I felt pretty good about that. But then I managed to crash at the second corner. But I'm running about 2 seconds off the pace, so I think I need to put my glasses on for the next one.
Okay.
Are they prescription?
They might be. And Robert, what can we expect from you in this last race? You're supposed to be chipping away at David and Nico. You did that by making sure David didn't get past you. But how are you enjoying the challenges?
Yeah, it's fun. Unfortunately, the technology let me down. I was really looking forward to a nice battle with Nico, and I think it was going well. But that's it. Virtual racing. Sometimes you just disappear on track.
Yeah, now we haven't spoken to you all evening, but Roberto Carlos. Hola, Roberto.
¿Qué tal estás?
Very well, thank you.
Very well, yeah. I have written down, but it's too late because I've not learnt it. So listen, best of luck for the next challenge, Roberto. Thank you very much for taking part. Gentlemen, I'll see you in the third challenge. There you go. I was going to cheekily ask for an autograph, but I didn't learn it in time. Anyway, let's look at the scoreboard for where the points are at the moment. Obviously, with David Coulthard getting that 1 point, finishing in third, that puts him up to 3 total points now. But look at that. Nico Rosberg, it was the dish revenge, best served cold, because he managed to get maximum points there.
He served it up, didn't he? Yeah, 4 points to 3. Wow, it's an exciting evening we're having, Tom.
It is indeed. Listen, there you go. Who will finish on top tonight in, of course, the hashtag challenge Heineken Legends. Let's find out where we are heading to then for challenge 3. Back over to Sir Jackie. Where are we heading to next?
So now just one challenge remaining, and it's time to turn up the pressure. David and Nico, this should be familiar territory to you both, and you'll be starting from the front of the grid. There is, however, a bunch of drivers behind you that have only one thing in their mind, and that's to beat you both up. This will be a 25% length race. Featuring a group of racing influencers and creators. So be assured they know their stuff. And so with this challenge all finished almost, my job as taskmaster is complete. Have a good race and be careful. And Tom, this means back over to you to reveal the track. All the very best and good wishes and cheers to you all.
What a legend. So Jackie Stewart there. Back to me. Worst person to go to be honest with you. So Jackie, I'll be honest with you. However, I do have the announcement of where we're racing. Rosanna, you wanted Italy in the wet, but unfortunately, we're heading to the United States of America in the dry. A little bit surprised with that one, or what can we expect of that exciting track?
I am surprised. Of course, this is a phenomenal track as well. We were spoilt this evening with 4 amazing locations to choose from. The USA in the dry, it's going to be a sensational place to go racing. We've got that incredible first corner with the elevation. It is something to behold. I have run the track, and I can tell you it is frighteningly high up there. And of course, it's then that left-hander straight down through a lovely sort of twisty section of the track, and I can't wait to see who comes out leading the race after that part of the track.
Well, as you can see, the objectives, we've titled this The Final Race.
So ominous.
Yeah, all the capitals there. 25% race, track and weather, chosen by you guys, the viewers in the USA, is dry. 3 points for first place, 2 for top 3, and 1 point for the top 5. 1 point for the fastest lap, so there's that extra one that could come into play there. They're going to have to hold their nerve to secure the win, because they are going to be taking on those influencers and creatives that Sir Jackie mentioned. This is a list of all of the guys competing. Familiar faces there from the F1 Esports Pro Series, the one and only Mr. Matt Gallagher. There you go. And
we were discussing how he looked in his picture, and he didn't look as happy as I thought he was going to.
No, a little bit pensive.
His next move.
Yeah, so yeah, a little bit pensive there. Out of the other guys, these are great people that are going to be competing, and obviously Sam Frayne as well. With Matt, they're racing 2012 actual real-life Renault, so these guys know their F1 esports and they're in general as well. So
yeah, these guys have been behind a Formula 1 car wheel. They know what it's like in the real world. They also know what it's like in the virtual world. This is going to be an exciting race, and of course we've got DC and Nico thrown in there as well. Oh, I'm excited.
Indeed. Now, listen, with David and Nico, knowing that Nico's currently on 4 points, David's on 3 points, that fastest lap could come into play. I'm sure the guys are very excited about this one, but this is really where the bragging rights will end tonight, which they'll go away in #Challenge Heineken Legends.
Totally. I think this is going to be bragging rights for a long time, and we know how important that fastest lap can be. The Williams guys a couple of weeks ago really keen to set that fastest lap. That can make all the difference this evening. OK, well, listen, David, I've got to ask, how are you feeling about this evening going to the US of A? Glasses are off. Top Gun is paused for 1 second. What do you make of the USA circuit?
It's wonderful. I'm really looking forward to driving. There's a lot of corners, which I'm pretty good on the straights.
Okay, perfect. Nico, we head to US of A. What's your experience on this track, and are you looking forward to it?
The track is great because they've combined like the best parts from all the greatest tracks around the world. So the first sector is like Suzuka. And then you've got the long corners at the end of the lap, some really tight stuff. It's got everything, so it's a really nice track.
OK, listen, don't forget, Nico, it's very important. You're 1 point ahead at the moment. You're on 4 points. David is on 3. So you need to make sure you get that fastest lap and finish on top to make sure you definitely secure this win.
Okie dokie, I'll give it everything.
OK, okie dokie, there we go then. Gentlemen, best of luck for this. Well, it's got everything. What an evening of fun it's been. It's been a lot of joy, a lot of fun. We go to it then, the final challenge. Come on, Rosanna. Who do you reckon's going to win this? Oh. Not necessarily the race, but out of those two, Nico and David.
Well, look, if DC's wearing his glasses, this could be a big moment for him. Of course, Nico's come out of Formula 1 the most recently, so potentially he's got a little bit more knowledge of how that track is to go back to. It's a tricky one to call, but I'm going to say Nico Rosberg. OK, thank you. I was worried you were going to sit on the fence there completely. However... Too painful. Listen, Alex, up there in the commentary area of the Gfinity Arena, the home of F1 Esports, looking, well, it's very regal, I have to say. But who's going to come out on top here, bearing in mind that David is very good on the straights, not so good in the corners? I have no idea how good DC actually is at this, because he decides to sort it out at turn 1 or turn 2, and he's either leading or going backwards. So I think this 25% race is going to give us a fairly good idea. I'm with Rosanna. I think that Nico is the driver to beat. OK, and in terms of those influencers, a chance to influence, see what I did there, the points here, if a bit of dive bombing. Now, Matt Gallagher is normally stood next to you for the virtual Grand Prix. He is. Next Sunday, we'll be heading to Monaco. Do you think he's got a chance of finishing in the top 5? If he wins this, we're never going to hear the end of it. So, in the nicest possible way, not Matt, please, not Matt. And in terms of this circuit, what do you love most about it?
I think the fast-flowing section that they borrowed from Silverstone it's just amazing to see these cars change direction. But I think the best thing actually about the event is the fans. They're absolutely superb. They really create a cracking atmosphere every time. It's a great venue for Formula One.
Yeah, indeed, and I know from first-hand the partying in Austin, Texas is insanely good. So there you go. So listen, Alex, over to you. Looking forward to this one. We've got the influencers taking on Roberto Carlos and the like. So Nico and David are going to go head-to-head here. Who is going to finish on top? Alex, over to you.
Thank you very much indeed. So this is the final challenge of the evening. Who's going to come out on top? Is it going to be the 2016 world champion Nico Rosberg, or is it going to be 13-time Grand Prix winner David Coulthard? Is he going to get through those first two corners without an incident? What's he going to be like against this fantastic group of influencers that we've got? And will Matt Gallagher get P1 and tweet about it forever? Because you know that might just happen. We've got a lot in the mix then as we go to this final challenge. Remember, 3 points if you win the race. It's 2 points if you get on the podium, and it is 1 point if you're in the top 5, 1 point if you get fastest lap. So different ways to score the points. It's 4-3 to Rosberg at the moment, and bragging rights are very much they're very much looking for bragging rights here. Look at them getting in the zone. Rosberg there ready to roll, and Coulthard as well, who is very chilled, very relaxed. And are we going to see a big effort from him? The one thing about this race, quarter distance, there is nowhere to hide, but it does mean that if you have an incident at the start, you're not counted out. You have no chance to come back with 5 laps, but you have a big opportunity to come back at quarter distance. And so we wait to see in a few moments' time who will come out as the winner for your challenge this evening. And so great to hear from Jackie Stewart, brilliantly setting the tasks today. And of course, he's a driver that in the past won a race by 4 whole minutes. I don't think we're going to see that today, but we are about to see some entertainment and the biggest grid of the evening so far. So who's going to be the top influencer? Who's going to be the top of our 4 that have been competing in every single challenge this evening? It's going to be very, very interesting. Tight and technical first part of the lap, and then it gets high speed. Then it turns into a bit of a blast. Good overtaking opportunity before. It's very tight. It's very twisty. It's a bit low speed towards the end of the lap, and then it speeds up again. And we see some track limits tested to the very the very limit of the margins. So far, we've seen some dicey driving, and it will be interesting to see whether that continues. We're just loading the grid. We're going to bring it to you any moment now. And so just a recap, 3 points if you are able to take the win for the challenge. This is 3 points if you're able to take the win. If you're on the podium, it's 2. If you get fastest lap, it's 1. And if you're in the top 5, it's just 1. So Coulthard has to learn this one. He's commentated on this a lot, but he's never raced here, unlike Nico Rosberg, who has plenty of experience around this configuration. Here we go then, final race of the evening. Roberto Carlos in P1, lights go out, and we're underway with immediately into the wall there is Robert Doornbos, and he's blocked the way of Nico Rosberg, as Roberto Carlos did have P1, but it's Coulthard now into the lead. And Sam is up into P2. Ben is in P3. Roberto Carlos down to P4. Another Ben in P5. Mike is in P6. Then Lucas in P7. Matt Gallagher in P8. But that dramatic moment off the start line. Robert Doornbos having the issue and blocking the way for Nico Rosberg. So he needs to fight the way back through. Coulthard's dropped down to P3. Sam is in the lead then. So it's going the influencer's way for the moment. That's a lunge from the Renault. One Ben getting past another, and round he goes. Oh, that is difficult stuff there. Maxime is making the way through up into 5th position. So Rosberg taken out, and we've got Rosberg down there in 10th, Doornbos in 11th, Roberto Carlos in 12th, and the influencers are taking control here as Coulthard's all over the road and going deep into a major braking zone, getting it all wrong, and he's tumbled down the order. Cars absolutely everywhere. But meanwhile, Sam is extending his lead by 1.4 seconds. Sam Frayne going very nicely at the front, and there has been chaos. There has been carnage, but not for the Ferrari driver who is in the lead at the moment. Ben Nagel going up against Maxime MXM, who is now at the final corner. And fastest lap over the line. So, as you can see, it's Sam from Mike, from Ben, from Maxime. That's the top four. And Coulthard trying to get that extra point that would tie him for the challenge. He's got to get up on terms, up to the top 5. Otherwise, he's got to focus on the fastest lap, which at the moment belongs to the Ferrari driver. So you can see the concentration that is going on here. So many content creators with a big opportunity to race against a world champion, no less. And Coulthard and Rosberg very close together. Coulthard heading backwards. Matt Gallagher's managed to get past Coulthard, and Rosberg is just a second behind now. So all over the road. And Mike off the road in the Williams there, trying to get it all back together. Maxime looking for the move on Ben. This is P3. And whilst they sort that out, it's Rosberg going back past Coulthard. So we expected Rosberg to be quicker in race trim, and he's managed to do it. Coulthard's going to have to come back immediately. You knew this was coming. Sends it to the inside, but he avoids contact this time, and Rosberg gets through. So he's ahead of the one rival that he has to mark out of the race. And I don't want to say somewhat predictably, but maybe it is somewhat predictable that the legends are in the bottom of the order, and we are having a cracking battle here. Maxime now up to second position, Rosberg in P9. He will go looking for that fastest lap to make sure, but at the moment it belongs to Maxime. And then, oh no, Mike spun out. Mike has gone round. He was as high as P2, but it's all gone wrong for him. Maxime having a super race here, doing everything that they need to do, and dragging Ben along as well in the other racing point. So good battle at the front. Can Rosberg close the gap down? Robert Doornbos has got back ahead of David Coulthard. That big moment at the start where Doornbos blocked the path of the 2016 world champion, and he couldn't find a way through. Now, trying to go around the outside. This would be a really good move. One Ben versus another. We saw him earlier on working the wheel, but that's nicely defended by Ben Nagel. But is he going to be able to keep the car behind? The Renault's ahead. And that is really nicely done. Oh no, there is the punt, and it's going to send him off the road. No damage, so you can try those NASCAR tactics. But for the moment, that move is complete. And the Aussie YouTuber has got himself up to third position. Lucas now trying to improve. And there's a spin there in the background. I think that's Matt Gallagher heading round, heading backwards. And Nico Rosberg and Robert Doornbos. Oh, he's not the only one. He's not the only one. Round goes your former race leader. And Sam Frayne spinning backwards. Maxime takes the lead. So a super run through the field, and now with the race win within the grasp. But we're seeing a lot of entertainment here. Let's check back in on our legends with Rosberg in 7th place. An advantage, seeing a lot of mistakes out there. This one is going to go, you feel, to the very, very end. Oh, this is a good battle. The Renault versus the Racing Point. Now, this is where it gets high speed. 2 overtaking opportunities. The Australian closing in. And he's got a chance to win on an F1 Challenge event. It's not too far away. Best overtaking opportunity of the whole racetrack coming up. And he's pulling alongside, he's going ahead. And that is a really lovely move. If he can slow down the Renault, just about he can. He's going to open the door though. We've seen some great racing around this section in the past. But whilst we've got up and running, really, really nice. So now it's about keeping the errors away. Rosberg up into the top 5. So Rosberg, who was chucking a few excuses our way earlier on, saying I've not had the rig for too long, he does have good speed here. And he's managed to get into the top 5, and that is just going to seal the challenge for him if he can just stay there. driver in P2, Maxime there, had a great run so far. Going to try and come back, hasn't been downhearted after losing the lead. We've seen some phenomenal racing action in the virtual Grand Prix that have gone to the very last laps. And Maxime keep it going here in the racing point. Very much in the wheel tracks, but this is where it's difficult to follow. This is where you need to have complete confidence and push the boundaries. Matt Gallagher has got himself up to 6th position. He's 2.5 seconds behind Nico Rosberg. Roberto Carlos a long way out. Poor old Mike down in 11th had a good opportunity there. And is that another spin for Sam Frayne because he's heading backwards? I think it might be. Now this is the battle for the lead though. Ben versus Maxime. The content creators about to go wheel to wheel. Are we going to see a move for the lead? No, being sensible, biding the time. And that's a wide moment for the Renault. Does that leave the door open a bit? Nico Rosberg with the 1 point for the challenge competitors in 5th position. Seeing a lot of driver errors. You can see there the rear trying to step out, but gathered together nicely, and they are pushing. This is Rosberg in 5th place, 2 seconds away from 4th right now. And that is good enough for 1 point in the challenge. We've seen fastest laps going the way of the influencers, and unfortunately Robert Doornbos has said thank you and good night. So that is going to, I tell you what, if Matt can get past Nico Rosberg, that's going to make his evening. But he's decided to come into the pits. So Matt Gallagher into the pits right now. The first of the stoppers. So he's trying something different. Coulthard. Remember, damage will be off, so that is a decision he's made. Oh, Rosberg's gone round! Nico Rosberg spins! Gathers it together. Good job, that was ghosted, wasn't it? And he gets back ahead with, oh, it's going to be contact again as he rejoins! Oh, what a nightmare. David Coulthard and Nico Rosberg coming together. Coulthard's nearly doing donuts in the middle of the track as he tries to rejoin. And Rosberg having fought his way up. Oh, they can't keep it pointing in a straight line at the moment. Just take a breath and they will return to the tarmac. Coulthard ready for some fun and games. He's not too far away. So a great battle for the race lead out front, and the legends showing that it's not simple out there. When we cast your mind to the esports pro series, when we see those guys and they're in a train and there's no mistakes and they're absolutely immaculate, and you think, oh, go on, send a lunge, it can't be that difficult. Well, when you see here how easy it is to lose the rear of the car, the fastest lap now to your race leader. There's Matt. Ah, funky wallpaper, Matthew. Excellent stuff. There we are. And he's chilled out. He's chilled out. So he's come into the pits nice and early on. And is that going to pay him back towards the end of the race? And it's not the usual fun fest that we get from Mr. Gallagher. He's taking this pretty seriously right now. Look at the amount of concentration etched on his face as he continues to work his way up. So Sam Frayne has come into the pits. He's pitting as well. Rosberg is doing so. Remember, Matt came in very early on and has changed tyres. Is that undercut going to work for him? Everyone having to make that stop because it's quarter distance. And the Williams off the road ahead of Matt, so it's difficult to keep it going. Now, super few laps from Ben out front, and he has done brilliantly to gap the field here, 3.3 seconds. So is he going to stop bang on 7 laps? We're about to find out because he is working his way through the final sector. Careful not to do a Verstappen and cut that bit. And he's slightly more chilled than Mr. Gallagher. But he is looking to add another win to the trophy he's got directly behind. No need for a pit stop, he thinks, this time around. Super elevation change here. Such a wonderful place to watch motor racing when you come to this first turn. The different lines you can take on lap 1. Well, we got some more of that today, didn't we? And then plunging back down the hill to the section of the track that was modelled on Silverstone. Now with a 4.1 second lead, so in the clear air, going very, very nicely. Is anyone going to be able to pose a threat to the race leader? Meanwhile, Robert Doornbos, or Robert Doornbot at least, has got himself to P5. Ben Nagel's come into the pits. And Sam Free. Oh, Coulthard! Oh! Coulthard lost it in a straight line, and he's taken the Ferrari out by accident. So just like we saw at the start, one incident on the pit straight, taking out the driver behind, and that will be irritating for Sam Frayne because, well, that was no fault of his. Couldn't have expected that at all. And remember, he'd made the stop to put on those medium tyres. Not able to make use of it, and easy to get caught up in an incident today. So final stages, Coulthard kicking up a little bit of dirt there. Matt Gallagher in P6. And Sam Frayne is going to go to the inside. And here's the race leader into the pits there. Remember, no change to the challenge point scores at the moment. So Pete Smeet goes into the lead. And that is very... who else has come in as well? Maxime came in as well. So Ben in the Renault, Maxime in the Racing Point. 4 seconds was around the gap. And it has gone very, very well in terms of getting it right. Don't want to get a penalty for speeding in the pit lane or anything like that. Lucas has come into the pits along with the AI version of Robert Doornbos. Mike in the pits as well. So everyone's cycling through their pit stops. Coulthard ahead of Rosberg after they were pirouetting at around this part of the circuit a few laps ago. Roberto Carlos. There's a 5-second penalty for David Coulthard for cutting the corners. The stewards were always going to get to him in the end, weren't they? After some of the antics we've seen from DC today. So Rosberg has now moved up past Coulthard, but neither one of them able to get, well, to add to their tally. So it's good news if you're Nico Rosberg at the moment. He's going to win this thing 4-3 because of the first couple of challenges. Now, Matt Gallagher in P4. Lucas in P5. And making his way through the final corner. There's a 3-second time penalty for Pete Smeet, who is the current race leader, and he's come into the pits, but he didn't need that penalty at all. And so, first of the drivers to come in was Mr. Gallagher. He's got track position. He's up to 4th place. Riding on board, he's racing the Haas today. Just listening in to them making their way through. All very calm right now behind the wheel. And he's 2.4 seconds away from the podium. But of course, Pete Smeet has that penalty to come. So if you can keep it around that gap, could be a trip to the rostrum today. Super race from Maxime MXM in the Racing Point. Meanwhile, Sam from Seen Through Glass in the Ferrari, ahead of the 2016 world champion, who is trying to get further up the order and trying to, well, that would be bold if he makes that one work. He's going to have the inside line. No, not quite. Ferrari desperate not to yield, but when it all works out, it's Rosberg sprinting clear. So nicely done. Nice sequence of moves from Nico Rosberg, and Sam from Seen Through Glass couldn't do anything about it. We've got a yellow flag, I should say, in Sector 3. As as Rosberg tries to come back. Good dive bomb move there from the Ferrari. And Rosberg has the inside line, so it's about picking the braking point. How late dare you go? Wait for the other guy to disappear. Now, has he slowed it down enough? Oh, he's losing momentum. And Sam from Seen Through Glass has managed to make his way ahead. This is the great thing about this circuit of the Americas. Always gives an opportunity if you can just get the driver ahead off the racing line. Still they go wheel to wheel. And Rosberg this time, wow, he's got track position, but for how long? As they come to the conclusion of their lap and they move on to the lap the leaders are on. Great move down the inside from the Ferrari, and DRS open as well to try and break clear. Brilliant battle, best we've seen so far today. Rosberg was always going to try that. Stand on everything, even the Ferrari if you need to. A half spin, and this battle looks to be over. And Sam from Seen Through Glass has managed to make his way clear after battling the 2016 Formula One World Champion, no less, corner after corner. We're on lap 11 of 14. No one from the challenge is in the top 5 or has set a point for fastest lap. So right now, it's going to be 4-3 to Nico Rosberg. Everyone's made their stop. And wow, this is masterful stuff. On to the final stages he goes. Fastest lap to Pete Smeet there. In the other Renault. And Rosberg has gathered himself together and has resumed things. So I thought this would be over, but it continues on their way. And Rosberg back ahead in the Mercedes. So the undercut worked for Matt Gallagher. He's done very nicely indeed. And Lucas in P5 ahead of Robert Doornbos. And then Rosberg is just behind Ben Nagel. So Rosberg in P8 ahead of Sam in the Ferrari. David Coulthard. Now, here we are. This is the battle for second place. Maxime has had a superb race. Can there be a defence? No. And so the Renault appears to be the car to be in, because Pete Smeet has got up to P2. This is the time to make the moves. No time to wait around as we go into the latter stages of this challenge. Heineken Legends, and one of the legends involved, Nico Rosberg, in a never-ending battle with the Ferrari. Right now, resolved in Sam's favour. And it's Renault's at the front. Maxime would deserve that podium for the way we have seen the racing point, the lead racing point, go today. Rosberg's coming back again. There's the lockup. Ferrari saw it coming. And Sam from Seen Through Glass eases his way back through. But what a great Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening for him to be battling against the champion. He just can't seem to shake off Rosberg. And a few wild corners has given Rosberg another opportunity. David Coulthard down there in 11th position. Was able to come out on top. Rosberg back through, and no, Sam's been to that part of the racetrack already today. He's revisiting the Armco. And he looked like he should have been clear of Rosberg a few laps ago. He's now tumbled behind him. And Nico is up to P8. That is definitively his. Well, Mike in the Williams behind might have something to say about that. We're on to the penultimate lap of the race. It is a 10.4 second lead. And Roberto Carlos, good to check in with Roberto. The scorer of one of the great free kicks of all time against France back in 1997. The journalists that day said they barely could believe the replays when they saw it. Extraordinary stuff in the warm-up tournament ahead of the World Cup. that year. He didn't win that year in '98, but he was able to triumph 4 years later. Wonderful footballing career, and it's been a great sport to take part. But he's just about hanging on to it. Ben from Australia, a content creator that has looked so cool, so calm. He's got trophies in the background. He's not got far to go now. He'll be reveling in this. All the focus has been on Rosberg and Coulthard and Carlos and Doornbos, but he's crashed their party. And he's going past the big wheel into the final sector. Had to work hard to get up into the lead. Coulthard in the background there. But this has been exemplary stuff. Wearing the driving gloves. You know he's taking it seriously when the gloves go on. And he has been the master of the field. Just bringing it home. No need to take any risks. It's been such a great performance. Thank you to all of the influencers for joining this race and providing so much. Once we got through the standard carnage at the start, it was really, really entertaining stuff. And at the final corner, on the final lap, Tiamat Marduk comes across the line. And look at what it means. He's absolutely delighted. And the Australian really deserves that one. A super performance. Well done to him to win by over 10 seconds. And the Challenge Heineken Legends winner of Challenge 3 celebrating, kissing the badge. Absolutely delighted. Pete Smeet in second. Maxime is very, very impressive drive for P3. Matt Gallagher misses out, unfortunately, in P4. And there was plenty of entertainment there. In the end, though, the challenge has been resolved in the favour of Nico Rosberg because they were spinning their way into not being able to score any more points. And so it's Rosberg who comes out on top for the Challenge Heineken Legends.
Oh, thank you very much. Mr. Alex Jakes up in the commentary box. He's given away the big reveal, but I was going to build it up, Alex.
Fine, that's fine. Everyone pretend you don't know.
Okay, yes. Listen, what a great race. Thank you very much for commentating, Alex. It had a bit of everything. And I tell you what, Tia met Marduk. Congratulations to him. Good old Ben. And the celebration he had, that's what it means. Yeah, it may not have been the prettiest race at times, but it means a lot to these influencers and creatives out there.
Look, he's just beaten a Formula One world champion. You saw his celebration, arms up in the air. That was reminiscent of Nico on the front of his car back in 2016 when he won the world championship. But I have to say, watching Nico and Sam Frayne battle it out, that was brilliant watching. And I think, yes, lots of altercations with the wall, with each other. They kept it fun. They kept it fruity, as I think has been said over the last few weeks on these challenges. Yeah,
it was a little bit spicy at times. Lap 6, I have to say, was one of my favourite moments where Rosberg spun out, then got back into it, a car ghosted past, but then he managed to take out David Coulthard. So that was a highlight for me. In terms of the race win, and obviously Matt Gallagher, P4, that needs to be mentioned there. Unfortunately, when he comes back for the Grand Prix, the virtual Grand Prix next Sunday, there'll be no bragging rights for him, really. But he's done very well.
I think he'll still mention it. I think he'll mention all of it. The fact that he beat Nico Rosberg and David Coulthard this evening, I think he's going to keep us reminded of that for a long time to come.
Yeah, and some jazzy sort of wallpaper going on there.
Yes, we'll have to have a little
Alex
chat with him about that as well.
Yeah. All right, listen, I'll tell you what, let's chat to the guys right now. Well, congratulations, has to be said, to Nico for the win. But first of all, can I just say to Roberto Carlos, obrigado from everyone here. Thank you so much for taking part. There you go. So there you go. Obrigado to Roberto and to Robert. How did you find that challenge in the end?
Yeah, it was great, guys. Thank you for having me. Unfortunately, the simulator abandoned me. I still finished 6th though, without driving. So, yeah, look at how special I am.
The good old.
Thanks for looking forward to the next one.
The good old Robert bot came out, but was it nice to get back in the rig and start racing again?
Yeah, for sure. The steering banging, and I mean, it still gives you a bit of adrenaline, but yeah, it needs to work properly. Unfortunately, it didn't. Next time.
Oh, well, there you go. So, Robert and Roberto, thank you very much for competing in there. But we come
Thank
to
you very much.
There you go, man. Lovely to have you on board. An absolute legend there. Nico, what did you make from that race?
Well, first of all, congrats to Tiamatedruk, or how you pronounce it.
I think we're going.
No, I got taken out of the start by Robert. I mean, he just chopped right into me, and that was the end of that. And then I made a mistake as well later, so that was a bit disappointing. But it is what it is.
You had a fight the whole way through, Nico. You were kept busy.
No, I was going for it. Yeah, I was trying to catch back up, but of course the Tiamatedruk was way too far out in front. Of course. Already.
Yeah. At lap 6, though, Rosanna and I were talking about it, Nico. You spun off, got back on the track, managed to take out David. That must have been quite nice for you. Just a bit of a cheeky little spin there.
Hang on a second. Let's just correct who took out who, yeah?
Cheeky little chuckle there from DC.
Go on then, Mr. DC. How did you find that race?
You know, it was like I'd never been away. It just that sort of remembering the mediocrity that I lived through 12 years ago. Thank you for taking me right back there.
Don't be ridiculous, DC. You still got it.
All right then, gentlemen, let's see the scores from that challenge. That's what we can do right now, and then that will obviously affect the final leaderboard. So we want to know who the champ is. Alex Stokes may have already mentioned it, but listen, doesn't matter. Let's get to
surprised.
Wowzers! Who would have thought? Nico Rosberg. No one scored any points out of those two in that final challenge. I wouldn't have predicted that beforehand. However, David Coulthard on 3 points. So that means with 4 points in the challenge, Mr. Nico Rosberg, congratulations for the hashtag Challenge Heineken Legends.
There's clapping coming from somewhere.
More importantly, I'm seeing a lot of you commenting on the YouTube channel that I'm way too serious, so it's okay. I'm okay. I'm still laughing.
I wouldn't say you were too serious, Nico. I think you've had a smile on your face at times. You've been getting back into the sim racing. Can we expect to see more of you in the forthcoming virtual Grand Prix, perhaps?
Well, this was my first go, and I had a great time, and thanks to Heineken as well for supplying me with this amazing sim. And to be honest, I have so much respect now for the esports racers, because the lap times they do is just unbelievable. I mean, I was practicing a little bit in Interlagos, and I was doing some proper awesome laps, and I was 1.2 seconds off their times. So it's unreal.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. And David, potentially, DC, we could see you. Have you enjoyed the experience? Are you going to put more hours in?
Yeah, it's been, you know, this is completely new to me. So like Nico, big thank you to everyone who made this happen, and to F1 and to Heineken. And yeah, listen, I've always taken the view that the e-gamers were talented anyway. I didn't need to come here and find out. It's very difficult, but it's been fun to do this. So thank you to everyone.
You're going to keep the rig, DC?
I think my son Dayton will padlock this here. This is the coolest thing he's ever seen. So I don't think it's going anywhere.
His dad in a rig, the coolest thing he's ever seen.
You or Dayton?
Dayton's faster for sure.
Oh,
brilliant stuff. Well, listen, Mr. DC, we go way back to the first F1 Esports Pro Series. We were there in Abu Dhabi handing out the awards. Unfortunately, I can't hand out you an award for winning tonight. That belongs to Nico Rosberg. But listen, an absolute pleasure, gentlemen. Thank you so much for taking part in the hashtag Challenge Heineken Legends. We'll let you get back and enjoy a bit more sim racing, but thank you so much for taking part tonight.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, everybody. Thanks for tuning in, guys.
There you go.
Bye-bye.
Two legends of F1 there. With Nico Rosberg going a little bit blurred on his webcam, though. Did look a bit like Harry Kane. Just a little point out there. There you go. Let's have a quick look at the challenges and where that stands for all of the challenges we've had. Well, look at that. Unbelievable scenes. Nicholas Latifi pushed down to third now rather than second. Nico Rosberg comes straight into the leaderboard in second place. But Lando Norris, I mean, to be fair, Ian Poulter did throw his race. He decided on lap 4 of lap 5 he would would stop rather than cross the line and could have won it. But anyway, taking nothing away from Lando Norris, top of the leaderboard, and then David Coulthard in third, joint third actually, with George Russell. But a very fun challenge tonight.
Really fun challenge. I really enjoyed seeing those two legends of the sport getting back behind the sim. And as we found out, actually, it's the first time for maybe both of them, and hopefully we'll see more of it in the future.
Indeed. Well, listen, Rosanna, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on a desk, watching over everything. It's been an absolute pleasure, and looking forward to getting back for the F1 Esports Pro Series when that begins. All right, well, listen, stay safe. Also, a massive thank you as well to Alex Jakes, who's up in the commentary box. Thank you so much, Alex. An absolute pleasure. He'll be back here, I hope, next Sunday. Fingers are crossed. But he might be joined by Matt, Mr. P4 Gallagher, who will not let us forget that. Just to let you know, though, that is the 24th of May. We are heading to the Virtual Grand Prix of Monaco. It is set to be lights out amazing. So come and join us again in the Gfinity Arena, the home of F1 Esports. It's been a pleasure, and thank you so much for coming to join us. Hope you enjoyed it. See you again next Sunday.
All 5 lights are on. It's all to race for. Coming to turn 4. Oh, he's hit him. He's done it. Oh, he's taken 2.